Welcome back to the garden hobbyist. How are we all doing? It's early February and it's time to start sowing some seeds, so it's super exciting. I've got everything laid out in the greenhouse. Let me show you what we're going to be sowing today. So here we go. We have loads and loads to do. So we're going to start off. We've got our potatoes to start chitting. We've got tomatoes to start off. These will be sown in here, but I'm going to take them back to the house in a moment. And we've got some broad beans and we've got some leeks. Lots and lots to be getting on with. Then if I have time, if you come with me outside again, I've made another purchase after yesterday's little short I did, which is we now have a selection of new raspberry canes and gooseberry bushes. I did have some over here, but you can see they've just died horribly. So we're going to put them in a bed this time. I'm going to make some more beds, loaded beds down that way later in the spring. But that's the final job we're going to do today, plant some raspberry canes and some gooseberry bushes. So absolutely loads to do. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so today is going to be a bit of a military operation. I've got a lot to do and not a huge amount of time to do it. So I've got it all prepped up, like I say, and I'm going to put all the soil in all the seed pots at the same time. I've already prepared the soil. It's here. So this is the same as last week, actually. So there's a seed soil. I've mixed through there 1 part perlite, 2 parts seed soil. Perlite is this, that one. That's perlite there. Perlite is a volcanic rock. It serves to aerate the soil. It doesn't do anything to moisture. It's just there to keep it nice and light so it doesn't get all clumpy as it can do with seed soil. Seed soil obviously has got a lot of sand in it, so that's all it's for. That's the perlite. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to fill up these pots and trays, everything else, ready to start sowing some seeds. Okay, so we've got all the pots filled up. I'll show you. Right, the tomato plants, pots rather, are filled up to almost the top, but not quite. Same with the leeks, and what will be the broad bean pots, those are completely filled. Now, broad beans, you can actually sow them outside this time of year, particularly if you're further south. Here in Yorkshire, because it's quite cold and quite wet, also I think I've got some rabbits, so I'm going to try and give them a reasonable chance of success by growing them first in the greenhouse and let them get to 2 or 3 inches tall, and then I'm going to plant them out because I think that's probably going to be more successful than direct sowing, but we'll see. Right, let's start with the easy stuff first, which is going to be the seed potatoes. So this time of year, you want to get them out and start chitting them. And I'm going to do that down here in these trays. So we'll get those out. So I'm just going to spread them out on a seed tray like that. These ones are carrots. These are a main crop. The other ones are shallots. They're an early crop of potato. And what you're doing is just evenly spread them out. It'd be better if they weren't overlapping a little bit, but that'll be fine. What I try to do, I put the bag underneath so I remember which variety is which, like that, and the tray goes on top. Now, they're deliberately going on the second tray, not the bottom, because in the bottom there might be mice, and the second tray doesn't tend to get too much direct sunlight from the windows and the greenhouse, because if I did, I found in previous years they've got all sunburn and damage, so they should be fine there, and they'll start to sprout, and in maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending, they'll be ready to go outside in the garden. But that's the potatoes ready, and that's potato chitting. That's all there is. If you want a bit more detail, I do have a potato chitting video on the channel. Right, let's move on to, let's do the broad beans next. So the broad beans, these are a long pod broad bean, and they're very simple. So the back of the packet tells you when you need to sow them, nice and easy. Now, I've said before, with seeds, the key is the size of the seed tells you how deep to plant them. Obviously, broad beans are big seeds, so let's get them out. So those are my broad beans. All I'm going to do, I'm going to lay them onto the box, and I'm going to put one in each one of these trays, like that. I like to lay them out first so I can see what I've done, and when I finish I'll just dip them in. Now, big seeds like this are very easy. They need to go down about 2 centimetres. The packet does tell you if you're not sure. There you go. I'm just going to push them down with my thumb out that way. Put them in sideways as a rule. And that will be it. And this size seed I'll water after they've sowed. So just do that. So they're all pushed in there. I'm just going to give them a good drink with the watering can. There you go. Now I'm in a greenhouse, so I'm going to put a cover on them. Partly because of any mice, but also to make it slightly warmer. And then I'm going to put this on the shelf over there on the rack. And there you go, on the shelf ready. Next seeds we're going for are the leeks. This is a packet I had last year. I've got loads and loads left. This is Musselburgh, which is a really reliable leek. And they, again, are really easy to sow. There we go. I always sow leeks in a half tray because you end up with thousands otherwise. Now leeks, I always water first. So I'm going to give this a water now. The reason some things are watered before is because the seeds are very, very small, and if you water them once you've sowed them, the seeds can wash away. So that's why that's done first. Let it sink in. And these are the leek seeds. They're absolutely tiny little black seeds. And because they're so small, that's why I do it in half a seed tray, because I sprinkle these on and I end up with 30 plants, which is more than I need. So I'm just going to give these a sprinkle onto the tray. And these only need to be slightly under the soil. So actually I'm going to cover these with vermiculite. This is another volcanic rock, and it just goes over the top like that. This does absorb water, so it helps keep them moist. And I'm going to firm it down. That allows and ensures that the seeds are in contact with the soil, and in this case, the moisture. And that's it. And again, I'm going to put a lid on them to get a bit of extra warmth from the greenhouse. And they're going to go on the shelf over there. Okay, so that's the potatoes chitting, broad beans sowed, and the leeks sowed. Now onto my favourites, which is the tomatoes. And I always do 4 varieties. I do 3 for in here, usually a beef, usually a cherry, and something interesting. But this year I've gone for a plum because I grew them a couple of years ago and I really liked them, and I missed them last year. And then usually something for outside. So let's go through those and I'll show you the sowing process. It's very similar to the leek actually, because the seeds are very small. So let's do that. So actually this year I've got 2 varieties I've grown before and 1 that is new. So Gourmanda, I grew this last year. This is a beef tomato. It ripens fairly early in the year and it's very tasty. This is a Princip. Now this is a cherry tomato, lots and lots of tomatoes. And this will be for the greenhouse as well. The Roma is a plum tomato, which is later. Well, at least I found it later in terms of how quickly it ripened. But I grew it 2 years ago. It was really good for sauces and really flavoursome, so I'm going to go for that one. And this one is new for me. I've never got it before, but it says on the back of the packet here that it's really good for blight. Now, here in Yorkshire, I do end up with late season blight outside. So I very rarely actually get any tomatoes at all from outside. So we'll see what happens this year, and we'll give that particular variety a go. So those are my 4 varieties. Now what I will add next is labels. Now every year I label things and I largely forget what they are. So this year I have bought some plastic ones. I hate using plastic. Normally I use wood. Oh, these ones are bad. Okay, wood ones. But what I tend to find is the wood washes off. So I bought the plastic ones, the permanent marker, with the hope of actually remembering which tomatoes are which as they get bigger. He says, hopefully, probably won't, but we'll see. Okay, so the keen eyes amongst you on a spot, we have 16 pots now filled, and I do my tomato seed or tomato seeds in these pots. Reason is because I'm going to put them under a heat mat in a little while, and that works quite well, keeping them in the tray like this. It also means I allow, with most varieties anyway, 2 seeds per pot. Cut off the weaker one once they have germinated, and then I grow them before transplanting them on, which we'll get to later in the season. But basically it's going to be 4 pots per plant, because I ultimately going to want to have 3 of each of the greenhouse ones in these spaces. So 12 plants in here, it normally works out fine. Now the sowing process is the same as the leeks, so starting by watering first. So I want to get the soil wet because the seeds are very, very small. That one needs a bit more soil actually. There you go. I'll show you one set of tomatoes, then I'll just get them all done so I can concentrate. Otherwise I'm going to get the labels of all of that. But this is the first set. These are the Rubylicious tomatoes, the ones that are outside, the ones that are supposed to be blight resistant. So you can see they're pretty small. I've actually, there's quite a lot in the packet, so I'm going to put maybe actually 3 in each of these 4 pots, and then I'll transplant them on when they germinate. I might actually go for more of these that are going outside. So all I'm going to do is pinch out a couple per pot. I don't know if you can see, but there's a couple on that one there. I ended up putting about 4 in each one of these because there are loads of seeds and they're really tiny, tiny seeds. So again, they're going to come up and there'll be too many per pot. So I'll snip a couple out and probably transplant on 3 or 4. Next stage is to cover them. Again, we're going to use the vermiculite again, which is this one here. And it's just going to be a sprinkle on top like that. I'm going to pat it down to make sure there's contact with the seed and the soil. And then, most importantly, we're going to pop on a label in each one so I remember what on earth it is. There are certain things you can tell apart. Like you can tell a tomato apart from a brassica or a courgette or whatever, but you can't tell, early doors anyway, the difference between different tomato seedlings. It's impossible. So that's really important. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the next 3 packets and I'll catch you in just a minute. Okay, so I'm done with the tomatoes. They're all labelled up, and as I said before, they are covered in the vermiculite, been watered. Now they're all going to go inside this set, which is the greenhouse set. They're going to go under on a heat mat rather, which I'll show you when we get inside at the end of the video. But they're also going to go underneath a cover like that one. But as I've got time, we're going to go outside and tackle some of these fruit bushes. Okay, so outside, we're going to be planting fruit bushes in this bed here. This is one of the no-did beds. It hasn't had very many weeds in it, so it's been pretty easy to prepare. I have freshened it up with some more compost, but largely it is as it was. It's done very well for the winter, and much better than last year's beds did before I converted from more to no dig. So the plan is simple. I'm just going to plant out the gooseberries because they're ready to go straight in, water them in, and then I'll show you the raspberry canes because they need a little bit of work. Okay, so this has proven, fortunately, pretty straightforward, so I thought I'd just show you what we've done. The gooseberries are in there, planted as normal bushes might be, literally dug a hole, put them in up to the same level of the pot, and then this is the first row of raspberries. Both these sets of raspberries are autumn raspberries, so they will be easy for me to remember which is which for pruning, etc. Each pot came as a 3, as you've got here, and all I've had to do is loosen from the pot like this one, and as I've opened them up, they've broken apart, and I just very gently prise into different canes, effectively dry root raspberries that have been stuck in some compost to sell, as opposed to potted raspberries. There you go. And I'm just going to, in each one of them, dig a hole and plant them up to about there, and hopefully we'll get lots of raspberry canes come the spring. I'm done, so that's the raspberry canes. If I just flip the camera around, you can see I've got 2 rows of autumn raspberry canes there, and a row of gooseberries. Now I might even be able to put something else in that bed, maybe some lettuce to go in between them as the season starts, something quick like a radish, I don't know. We'll see, but I think that's a good use for bed, and the plan will be to put 2 other beds, say one there and one there, to keep the number of beds I have available as the season progresses. Now, that's all I'm going to sow today. So it's early February still, it's pretty early doors, so we've done quite a lot. We put in some raspberry canes and some gooseberries. In the greenhouse, we have put our potatoes out to chit. Then down there, we have also, over here, so we've got some broad beans in this one. We've got some leeks in this one. And then that's our chilies for the week. This is our sweet peas. Oh, sweet peas are doing quite well, I can see in there. That's coming on nicely. The last thing we did today is we sowed our tomatoes. Now the tomatoes need to come indoors, so the very last part of my video is going to be showing you my indoor setup. Before I go indoors, I just want to say very quickly, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give us a like and follow and subscribe for more content. But let's go and finish off indoors, because frankly it's freezing out here. Okay, so I'm in the house now, we're in one of the bedrooms, and we're by this window, which if you remember from a couple of weeks back, this is where we planted the chilies when we did our Caesar sow in early January video. I'll just show you those, because if you look very carefully, you can just see, there's one there, look. You can just see they're starting to come up. So this is, I think, 2 weeks, no, maybe it's 3 weeks since I did chilies, but we have germination, so that's fab. Now, the tomatoes are going to go next to those, so we're nice. It's a south-facing, nice, bright, sunny window, and this blue thing underneath here, this is a heat map. It's actually from a brewing kit from when I used to brew beer years and years ago. And what we're going to do is I have the heat mat plugged into this thermometer, again from brewing kit. I'm going to put the sensor into the tomatoes just there. Now obviously that's going to be detecting the temperature of that particular pot of tomatoes, but it's on the edge, so they should be about the same. In fact, I should probably put it in one of the middle ones. There you go, one of the middle ones. And that's going to give us an average. It's set at 18, so we'll get 18 to 20 thereabouts inside those pots. Now obviously I'm going to have a lid on top of them as well, so that will sit a lid on top to keep as much warm air as possible. I can put the one I had for the chilies back on again now, showing you that. And that's set up. I'm going to put the other tray of tomatoes on there in a second, but that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's my Caesar sow in early February video. If you got to the end, thank you, that's amazing. Now, again, if you have a chance, please click that like and do subscribe for more. There'll be some more seeds to sow in late February, and then frankly March it goes bananas. So let's get there, and that greenhouse will be full, and all sorts of exciting things will happen. Speak soon. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.